We good?
We're good.
Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Ross Carpri again with Kell Williams Metro South. Coming back to you to discuss the current things going on in the real estate market. I also have on the line with me is Andy Gagliano from Gagliano Mortgage. He's going to cover with you in a few minutes about current interest rates, what's going on with the interest rates. Do we expect them to go up or down? We've got a government shutdown now, how that's going to affect mortgages and closings and applications and everything that goes with that. So we'll cover that in a few minutes. But one of the things that I kind of wanted to talk to you about, in the past, there have been several times where we've talked about putting properties on the market and they sell in 2 or 3 days. And some of them sell for more than list price. Some of them sell. Some families get into bidding wars on purchasing a property. Well, I'm not going to say all that's dead, but I will say it's not as prevalent as it used to be. Nowadays, I'm seeing homes that are on the market 30 days, 45 days, some of them 60 days or longer. And it's not because the activity is not there. It's just there's in one situation I was dealing with, there was just several properties on the market, and of course the price point was over $1 million. But having said that, you think, well, anybody can afford that, can buy what they want. But the thing is, they can be very selective in that price point because everybody has certain things that they want in a home, and they want to make sure if you're going to spend that type of money, you want to get just about everything, if not everything, that you want in that type of home. And that takes a while. It takes a while to find that special family to do that. Things are taking longer to sell. We're having situations where the seller is paying the buyers, paying down on the buyer's interest rates. And that's not anything new, but it is still in the picture. You've got situations where the seller's paying half, if not all, of closing costs for the buyer. So there's a lot of little things that are changing from what we used to deal with not very long ago, where sellers were getting $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 over list price. You do still have situations where that happens, but it's not like it was in it wasn't like it was in the news every day about it. And I think that's probably what slowed interest a little bit. It's just if it's in the news, it becomes something people think about. So, but now properties are staying on the market 60 days, some of them a little longer. So times have changed, but it's still a good time to buy a home. As a matter of fact, as a buyer, I think this is probably a better time than in the past to buy a home, because sellers are willing to negotiate. They're willing to offer up some incentives for you to purchase. So just keep that in mind. And if you have any questions about any of that, or just want to know the value of your home, you can just give me a call at 205-601-0123. I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and go over all the facts, see if we can help you determine if it's a good time to sell or not. As far as buying a home, we do the same thing. We'll sit down and analyze your situation. We'll get you pre-approved with Andy at Gagliano Mortgage and see where we are at that point and how we can best help you to get in your home for the best price and for the best terms that we can get. So again, my number is 205-601-0123. And right now I'm going to let Andy come along and kind of give you an idea and an update on what the current rates are and what he's seeing on his side of the market.
Yeah, thank you, Ross. I appreciate you having me on again today. And, it's been a little while since you and I have done one of these videos. We've both been busy, and I've done a little traveling in between the last one and this one, and man, what a difference about 6 weeks can make. Where this is the first week in October 2025, and we are in a totally different time period than we were 30 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that has to do with the uncertainty of the government shutdown that's going on right now. That, it doesn't look like there's an end in sight to it, but we know it will end eventually, one way or the other. And there's a lot to be, I guess, digested with this government shutdown, because for those people who have a real estate contract in process currently, and a mortgage application in process currently, the shutdown could have a huge effect on that real estate transaction closing timely or closing at all, or it might have no effect on it, just depending on the loan type. And so what I would tell everyone out there who's watching this is get with your realtor. If number one, you got a property under contract, you should have been already in contact with your loan officer and your real estate agent. But if you have not, now's the time to go ahead and reach out to them, ask them what kind of an effect, if any, the government shutdown is going to have on your mortgage application and your real estate contract. So that would be step one. Step two, or I should say group two, for those who are actively looking for a home but don't have something under contract, I would recommend, again, talk to your mortgage loan officer, talk to your real estate agent, ask them what kind of an effect that the government shutdown is going to have on your loan and your real estate contract when you write one. And that way you're informed about what you need to do moving forward. Now, for those who are thinking, hey, I want to buy something in the very near future, but I'm unsure about things because of this shutdown, I would advise you go on, make that phone call to Ross, make that phone call to me or your loan officer, and go ahead and start the process. Because I truly believe, and I may be wrong, I may be eating these words here in 4 to 8 weeks, but I really believe that by the time you find your dream home, and by the time that real estate process comes to an end at your closing, I feel like the government will have this shutdown resolved and everything will be back up running just like normal. So that's something that's very important to keep in mind right now, that this government shutdown can have a huge effect on your mortgage. It can even pull the plug on you being able to close at all, or it can have no effect on it. So make sure your communication, or the communication between you and your loan officer, you and your real estate agent, is what it needs to be. You need to stay in contact with them. So with all that being said, the shutdown has kind of gotten mortgage rates to plateau out a little bit. We rates dropped for a period of time leading up to the Federal Reserve meeting in the middle of September. Then after that meeting, when the Federal Reserve announced that they were going to drop the Fed funds interest rates, those are not the mortgage rates. Those are not the rates that mortgages are priced off of. It is the rate that banks charge, that the Federal Reserve charges banks on overnight loans. It has nothing to do with mortgages. So what actually happened was the Federal Reserve lowered that Fed funds rate and mortgage rates went up. So they didn't go up drastically. They didn't go up even really 0.25%. Like the Fed funds rate went down 0.25%. Mortgage rates didn't go up 0.25%, but they went up. So right now they've plateaued out with the government shutdown. I will say this: don't email me with your opinions, or don't email me because you're angry because I'm about to say this. But the simple truth of the matter is this: if the government's not at work, they're not spending as much money as they normally spend. And because of that, mortgage rates will either trend down a little bit or stay where they are. I don't expect mortgage rates to go up during the government shutdown. So there's a positive for you guys who are thinking that you want to get out there and look at some real estate and buy a home, is that rates are still very attractive. And at least in the short term, I don't see any reason why they should be going up. Now, we'll see if that holds true in this case and see what happens. But that's kind of really the important things as far as where we are in the mortgage industry right now. You know, we're kind of day to day with this, with the shutdown as well, because I'll give an example. As of today, the IRS is working. In a week, 2 weeks, a month, the IRS may not be working. So that in and of itself could possibly slow down or change, make the mortgage process a little bit more difficult. So just kind of keep those things in mind, that this is something fluid, but you know, now is still a good time to go ahead and get out there and start looking at some houses. Start talking to your mortgage loan officer about what you need to do to get in a position to get a mortgage in the next 30, 60, 180 days, however long it may be. But I would not hesitate right now to get ready to pull the trigger on something if the right home comes along.
Okay.
So
now let me ask you this, Andy. I know you got your conventional loans and your VA loans and FHA loans. Is one, I guess they're all affected at some point, but is one more prevalent to be affected than the other, or are they all affected about the same?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ross. So FHA and VA loans will see very little negative effect from the shutdown. They could possibly, in some cases, like I'll use this as an example. If there's a veteran out there who is eligible for a VA loan and cannot pull their certificate of eligibility from the VA website online, and there are some veterans out there who their certificate of eligibility is just not going to be available online for one reason or another. But if you are one of those veterans whose certificate of eligibility is not available online, then there's a really good chance your loan's not going to move forward for the time being.
Wow. Okay.
That's pretty rare, but it does happen. I would say maybe 15, 20% of the veterans out there are not going to be able to pull a certificate of eligibility from the VA website online. So that could be a potential slowdown or a potential roadblock. But I will say this: with USDA loans, those are the United States Department of Agriculture loans. They are loans that are used for rural properties. Those will not close during the government shutdown. So if someone is interested in buying a home that's considered to be in a rural area and they want a USDA loan, they're not going to get one for the time being. Once the shutdown is lifted, then we can see those loans pick back up and start closing again. Now, for conventional loans, we should see no effect. Conventional loans should see no negative effect from the government shutdown.
Okay.
So, you know, those we're still moving forward on our FHA and VA loans as if there's not going to be any issues. We're moving forward on our conventional loans like there are no issues. And the USDA loans, we've just had to pull back entirely. We've nothing we can do. We have no control over that.
Okay.
So that's a great question, though.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who can go either way. FHA or VA. I mean, FHA or conventional, and they need to know that. So again, folks, if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call or give Andy a call, and we'll both be glad to try to guide you through it. This will all be short-lived, I'm sure. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that has to happen, and I'm sure, or at least hope some good comes out of it. So anyway, Andy, I appreciate your time today. And
thank you, Ross.
Tell people how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so I can be reached at 205-979-4412, extension 1.
Perfect.
So,
okay, bud. Well, look, thanks again.
Yeah.
And until next time, we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Have a great week.
All right, you too.
All right. Bye, Ross.